Hello guys, welcome back to another video. Right now markets are dumping and I want to kind of share my thoughts overall of the entire bull market and what we can expect here, because right now Bitcoin only today went down in one candle around 3.3 or 3.4%, which is not too much, but the altcoins are getting completely destroyed. Something that I mentioned in my previous video, that the altcoins are very sensitive to Bitcoin. This is something that's very unusual. Usually altcoins are sensitive, but not as sensitive as we see right now. And if we look at the bigger time frame, we're basically at the all-time highs. We're 66,000 on Bitcoin, and even though Bitcoin is close to the all-time highs, the altcoins are getting completely destroyed. So we have to kind of analyze here what kind of stages the market is in. I do believe that the market is still in a very premature stages where there's a lot of retailers has come into the market. I see a lot of people talking about 5, 10, 20, 30 excess on altcoins, which I don't think is going to happen since there's too much money already in the market, something I've been saying for a long time. That's why I've even said 100k target for Bitcoin, which has been my bull market target. I do think even that is way too high. I know people have been calling for 400 or 250,000 Bitcoin. I don't think we're gonna see that in this year or even in the next year. So let's get into the analysis and see what I'm looking at for Bitcoin right now. So we start here on the 4 hour. I've drawn here from the lows to these highs. I have the 0.31 here Fibonacci, which I've had for a very long time. So we had first this one here from this top, and then we bounced twice from this fib level. So we can see we had one bounce here, one bounce here. You see the 0.31. Now the price tried to break up, so we had this originally as a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we can see here, and this is a 1, 2, 3, 4 massive fourth wave before then the fifth wave would continue. It looks like we never broke out of the third wave here, so the fifth wave never really started, and it looks like we just are either we're in a massive fourth wave, which I really doubt. This would mean that this support here is going to hold 3 times in a row, and then we're gonna continue here the fifth wave to the upside. So this is one count, which in my opinion I don't think is gonna work, because usually when I see so many touches of the 0.31, usually that's a sign of weak support. Also, something that I don't like is that we have created something I mentioned before. We have created these higher lows all across, and we'll just keep making higher and higher lows after some time. And this type of pattern markets don't like. Sooner or later markets like to come down and sweep all the longs that have been buying here. So I do think Bitcoin is due to go lower. I do think, as I mentioned today in the Discord, that I do think that right now we might get some relief bounce that we're getting right here. We can see the support is holding, but sooner or later I do think Bitcoin is going to break this. Something I mentioned in my previous video, we had this support area for Bitcoin on the pitchfork. So we had the highs here to the lows and then to the recent highs. So I did say that this is the support. We can see here how it held, but then sooner or later Bitcoin broke through it. Then we have the original, of course, which is going to be the next target for Bitcoin. So if this 0.31 is not going to hold, which I do think is going to hold now temporarily, but I'm very skeptic to see it hold longer term, because I do think the market start to look very bearish when I see how much the altcoins are dropping. Even though Bitcoin is basically not hasn't done much. We're still at 67,000, which is almost at an all-time high. So a few months ago we were 67,000. The markets were euphoric. So this is what I'm looking at right now. We can also pay attention to the non-log or the log scale. So we can see here on the non-log scale, we already broke through the 0.31. Right now Bitcoin is trying to reclaim it, but I like to use the log scale so you can see here we found support. But I do think we can see something like this for Bitcoin, maybe a bit climb higher, but then sooner or later we're gonna go reach this median line. In my opinion, once we reach this median line, that's gonna be a very good buying opportunity. Usually these original pitchforks are very good at providing strong bounces, since the target is going downwards exponential. Usually that's the type of patterns you want to play, because when you play these type of modified shift pitchforks and the target is more flat, usually these have higher probability of holding in my experience. So this is my outlook right now. Something else I wanted to discuss is previously I was looking at Bitcoin here on the daily. Actually, let's go on the weekly, because I really want to discuss the Bitcoin top. So the problem with my analysis here is if we take from the lows here to the highs and then to the recent lows, and we use the modified shifts. The problem with my analysis, as I've been saying, I don't think Bitcoin is going to go to any crazy targets, is we already taken a lot of time for us to build up momentum. So the longer it takes, the higher this target is going to go, and I'm just worried that the target is going to be too high. I still have confidence in this pitchfork. I do think this can happen, but we can't drag out on time too long, because that's gonna mean, let's say we're gonna top at New Year's, that's already 134,000. I don't like these super high targets on Bitcoin. Something that you can see on the screen right now is I had this as a local top, which we have respected perfectly. So we go here away from the log scale, and we use here, actually use this low because it's different on some charts. So I was using this low down here. We can see here that Bitcoin respected this pitchfork on the normal scale, the normal pitchfork, perfectly. So it looks like here is some kind of local top, and algorithms have been dumping. That's where we're going sideways. The only thing that worries me that this has not been a major top, and right now it's start of a bear market. I doubt that's going to happen because we still have the Ethereum chart and the Ethereum ETF approval that's going to bring in volume from banks as well. But this is just something to keep in mind, that this local top was much stronger than I even personally expected. Let's check the Ethereum chart right now, as I've been covering that Ethereum is the only chart actually that still makes me bullish, because we still have the first target. This is the shift pitchfork that we have from the lows here to the highs and then to the recent lows. And I've been saying this, a magnet. Ethereum is going to go to this median line sooner or later. There's no doubt about it. On the daily time frame, however, we did break structure, which in my opinion is a very, very bearish sign. So if we take it from the first wave to the third wave, we bounced here, you can see from the 0.31, but then we have broken through it. So previously I had this as a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which technically can still play out. Just when I see the 0.31 getting broken, this is still a possibility, but the odds of this happening is much lower since we already broke the 0.31. So I do think right now it's time for Ethereum to start ranging here a bit, and then we have to see what Ethereum wants to do. We still have the magnet up here, so Ethereum is going to go to 5,000. As I've been saying, but it looks like the bull market is getting dragged out on a much bigger scale. Something that I mentioned previously, now when the banks are here, I do expect crypto markets, especially like Bitcoin and Ethereum, to act more like the stock market. So for example, for those who are not familiar with the stock market does go higher, it has these corrections, but overall it goes higher but slower. So the previous bull runs, both Ethereum and Bitcoin have been very quick. So you can see here that once the bull run has started, they've been very quick to climb. So a lot of green candles, but you can already see here this bull market has been much slower. Something that we mentioned previously. So a lot of people that are new into the crypto market right now are expecting some kind of patterns like this to happen, which I don't see is going to happen, because right now there's too much money already. Crypto is not a new thing. Everybody knows about crypto. You can go to a stranger on the street and talk about crypto, and they will know or heard about crypto. But when you were trading crypto back here in 2020 or 2017, a lot of people haven't even heard about crypto. So it was very speculative. That's where the money is to be made. When everybody already knows about crypto, there's much more money already in the market, and the market won't give these crazy returns anymore. So this kind of my views on the overall market. If we check here the total altcoin market cap, we're still in this massive fourth wave, as I've been talking about. So if we come here on the weekly, I still do believe the fourth wave is in, and we're gonna start the fifth wave here to 1 trillion market cap. But it just looks like very slow. It looks like this bull market is getting dragged out. Something else to keep in mind, the same pitchfork that I've been having for a target here, if we go away on the log scale, we can see here we have hit as well. So these are the type of signs that do worry me, because what was causing selling pressure. So we can see here we have a fifth wave here, and there's possibility that we want to make like an ABC before we go higher. I doubt that's going to happen. I do think the fourth wave is in here, because if we go here on the log scale, we just take here from the first wave to the third wave on the bigger time frame, and we have bottomed at the 0.31. So I really think this is going to hold, but we can see here, even with this small red candle on the weekly, the altcoins are getting affected massively. So we really have to be careful on altcoins. I am bearish on many altcoins like Solana, for example. As I've been mentioning before, I do think there's too much money in Solana already. And if we come here on the daily, I do think the next target for Solana is this pitchfork down here. So I use the highs here, the lows from that we have up here, and then the recent highs. So I do think Solana wants to go lower. We can also check here from the lows here to the highs. Solana had similar pattern like on Bitcoin. So we had the 0.31 here that we tested twice. The third time we broke through it, it acted as the resistance, and I do think now Solana is going to trend down towards 140. So that's going to be the next target. And as I said, I think I don't have any extreme targets right now for altcoins, either to the upside or to the downside. I do think that altcoins want to continue ranging ranging probably like lower, and then we might get some sideways here before then Bitcoin decides what it's going to do. But really have to be cautious here, because I see a lot of people talking about these crazy targets and that we're going to fly higher and stuff like that, and I do think that's going to happen, because in the bull market usually the last leg up is the most impulsive, but we have to pay attention to that. We're not going to get these crazy targets. I think even if we get 100k Bitcoin, that's going to be the absolute top. Before then we'll continue lower. So all eyes is on this pitchfork right, on this Fibonacci right here on the 0.31 on Bitcoin. We can see here we're bouncing as we speak, but as I've been saying, we're already making these higher lows across the board, and I do think we have to break these ones sooner or later. So overall, I do expect for Bitcoin to go lower, and this is the next target that I'm having here. You can see here on the original. So this is the next target I'm having on Bitcoin for the moment. So all eyes on this pitchfork. I do think we're gonna reach it. Usually this median line acts as magnets, so just be cautious right now, because this bull market is gonna get dragged out in my opinion, and we might not see a top before even the fall. So probably June, July could be sideways months, or like dump up, down up before we see any real break of the all-time highs. Otherwise, I thank you so much for watching. Please comment down below your thought, guys. Each bull market is different, so I'm very curious to think what you guys are, what your thoughts are. Otherwise, like the video, subscribe, and see you again tomorrow.